All right. Hey, what's up, Jens? Hey, thanks for stopping by and talking to us. I appreciate it. I caught your Twitch stream the other night, man. How long have you been doing that? That was pretty fun.
I've been twitching. I don't shoot. I think 4 years, about 4 years, something like that. And then I started doing I started streaming for the UFC. Yeah, it's crazy. It seems like it's only been a year, but it's been I think a couple of years now, 2.5 years or something like that. Started doing the UFC Twitch stream. So yeah, it's been fun. A lot of fun.
I thought that stuff was just video games. I didn't know that you were doing like commentary, like breakdowns of fights and stuff. That was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, it kind of, well, for me, it happened by accident. One day I was gaming, and then my producer, my partner, 8K Snoo, Sean, he was like, well, I gotta go. He had something had to do. He had a family thing. And I'm like, whoa, wait. I got a game by myself. I'm like, nope, can't do this. I can't do this. So I was like, somebody in chat, I go, hey, somebody give me a video. And then I got this parkour fails. And I don't know, it was like a 2 minute video. But by the time I got done talking it, rewinding, going through it, it ended up being like 25 minutes. And then somebody said, hey, I just had this boxing match and stuff like that. Would you watch it? I'm like, sure. And then someone's like, hey, I got this fight. And I'm like, all right, yeah. So then I just started breaking down their fights. And then
Yeah,
that led to UFC, doing the UFC. And they're like, hey, I tried out and got the job.
that's pretty cool. So do you have your own channel, or you just exclusively do that with the UFC?
I have my channel, Twitch TV/Jens Pulver, but I now, because we're growing so much, the UFC stream is growing so much.
Mhm.
I'm pretty much full-time UFC streamer. And then the 1 day, 2 days that I have free, I spend with my family. My son's got wrestling and everything else. So yeah, as
Okay.
much as I want to get back to my stream, it's just nah. So I'm a UFC streamer now.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. I like that. And you do that like 5 days a week or something. You got one a day you're doing, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. So what we do is today, example, Friday, we're watching fights of fighters fighting and
Mhm.
Saturday's fights. So we'll be breaking down the main card at 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be watching the main card fights. We'll watch a fight of each person fighting against their
Right.
opponent. And then I got a watch along tomorrow. It'll be me, Forrest Griffin, and Cub Swanson.
Oh,
So
sweet.
we'll be live doing that during the fights. Monday, we recap the fight, 6 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday, we call it Tough Tuesday. We've been watching The Ultimate Fighter. We just finished season 9. So we're going through
Oh,
and
wow.
watching. Yeah, so we're watching every season of The Ultimate Fighter. If it's a pay-per-view week, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, we're watching undercard fights. And then Thursday is the only day we have off. So yeah, we're pretty busy, but we're always on about 6 p.m. Eastern. And then of course, Saturdays just kind of varies when the show starts. But I'll be commentating from the very first fight, and then my guests will come in right before the
Yeah,
live pay-per-view starts.
yeah, I like that. I'll definitely be checking out more of those. Um, Congrats on making it into the Hall of Fame, man.
Thank you.
Uh, one of the fan questions I had for you was, who do you think is the next person that should be inducted into the Hall of Fame?
I don't, I mean, I guess it just kind of, it depends. I don't know who, you know, I don't know. I'm not sure who goes where. I'm not sure. There's been so many incredible careers. We talking modern wing. We still talking the
Right.
pioneer side of things. I don't, I mean, like I said, I was just kind of caught up in the moment. I was like, I don't know if something has to be every year. I'm not sure how it works.
Right.
I
Right.
was caught off guard. Again, my biggest thing was I'm just very thankful for obviously my manager, Brian Butler, and just the fans and people just kind of keeping my name relevant. And every year, this would come up like, where's Jens
Yeah.
Pulver? Where's Jens Pulver?
Yeah.
And it was, but like I said, it worked out. It couldn't have happened at a more perfect time in my life. And so I'm really happy that, I mean, like the timing is perfect. And so like I said, I'll be just, I still don't really feel, it doesn't really feel real yet.
Right.
I mean, it is a little bit now, but I think in July when I do the interview, when I do my speech and stuff, it'll be more. But otherwise, yeah, man, it's like I said, it caught me off guard. I had no clue. So I haven't thought about who else should be in there or anything like that. I'm just like, I can't believe I'm in it. You know what I mean? I'm like, ah, it
Right.
still hasn't sunk in.
Well, you're a former lightweight champion. How does that compare? Like you won the title, you're a Hall of Famer. Like those emotions.
I thought, it was winning the title was great, but I think, like I said, this Hall of Fame, it it, it solidified. It solidified my. It just gave me my career. It just
Right.
the validation in my career because I wasn't just a world champion. You know what I mean? That I don't think that's enough. That definitely isn't enough to get you into anything. But in this pioneer wing, what kept my name relevant is I literally started the 155-pound division. I created this weight class. And they always say, normally, if you go through it, it's funny. My man Sean showed me this article where usually, they don't really give too much credit to that first champion because the weight class was just getting started and it wasn't as big as it
Right.
is now. But then you look at who I went against, and so it's like I think they had me at like number 5 overall because obviously BJ Penn, Uno was just ridiculous in his era. Dennis
Yeah.
Hallman at the time had beaten Matt Hughes twice, who ends up being one of the greatest fighters to ever do it. And this is a guy who submitted him twice in under 20 seconds, and so like I said, it was just really cool to be, but that's again, I think people kind of misunderstand. I'm not getting this based off just being a world champion or, I mean, it's my contribution to this sport. And that's why, again, in this pioneer wing, I'm very happy. I'm grateful is because I created a weight class. I am, and I won't let anybody ever take it away from me. I'm the godfather of the lightweight divisions. I'm the
Right.
reason why we have them. I had to fight at 170. I fought at heavyweight before that, or no weight class. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of puts me in a like the merits weren't just based on my fights or especially the end of my career and the losing streak and all that. But that's what I loved about getting this was because it was more about what I've done, my career, what I stand for, what I was in the beginning, which was there's not too many quote unquote pioneers out there that created something that aren't already in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? In Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
Miletich 170, obviously Hoist Gracie, the people that started the UFC in the very beginning. You know what I mean? Mr. Davies, all these. And that's the one thing that I kind of, and that was my legacy wasn't so much being the world champion as much as it is being the godfather of the lightweight division. And that's something that I held on to and kept near me, and being a part of this Twitch TV/UFC and being a part of this stream, it
Yeah.
allowed me to go back and talk about that. And it was like, even though I may never get to the Hall of Fame, people are going to hear this story. So I'm going to make sure they hear how this 155-pound division was created. I had to do these boss shooting invitationals and just I tell the story of how it happened, and that itself is, I think, when you combine that to being a world champion, and things like that, you put that together. Like everybody said, like me being in the pioneer, it was kind of it made sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was funny because it was like a week before you got in the Hall of Fame. Somebody said Jens Pulver Hall of Famer, and you commented, "You're like, thanks guys, but I'm no Hall of Famer." And
two
literally,
hours, 2 hours before Sean, because my man Sean cut the video. It was literally 2 hours before that. And again, it's every stream, and I love and appreciate every single person that comes to the stream. I love talking to everybody, and everybody's always asking, "Wait, you're not in the Hall of Fame?" And I'm
right,
like, "Nah." And they're like, "Wait, oh, you'll be there soon." I'm like, maybe I haven't done enough. And like I said, I always thought, again, because how people always say you're going to tarnish your legacy by holding on too long, and so I always held my head about that, the losing streak at the end. But it's like, man, I'm just trying to figure out where it all went and how it happened. Like, how did this losing streak start? And you just kind of, it'd be like at baseball. You can go hitless 20 times at bat, but because that's like a weekend. You know what I mean? You get to go, you step to the plate 6 times, 5, 6 times a game, and that don't seem like anything. But in the sport, especially in the size of when we were fighting, it was the shows were so far in between that's like that's 5 years of fighting, and you go hitless 6 times in a row. You're like, what in the is happening here? You know what I'm saying? So my
yeah,
point is the validation and everything to be able to come back to that and to be able to to get that Hall of Fame, that was the thing to help me to validate that. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing about, I know I kind of stranded from the question, but that's the one thing though, you know, what I mean, for me, getting this, I got to go back to that was, you know, the pioneer side of it and just kind of being, you know, what I mean, what I did for the sport and being the godfather of the lightweight division.
When you're in the audience when they call for the Hall of Fame, do you know that you're getting inducted at that
No,
time yet?
no. So, like to get back to the start of that question, which was no, I hadn't done enough, right? And I'd hoped that what I did do would be my merits. No, I was on the stream. I was streaming live, doing a watch along. Because I always do a watch along every Saturday when the fights. I'm on Twitch TV/UFC. If it's a pay per view, we'll have guests. If it's not a pay per view, it's just me talking to chat. Well, this time it was just me, and I had two guests. I had TSM Vis, Monster Gamer, and of course Mike Davis, the UFC fighter. And I was we were just sitting there, and it was funny. They set me up, and gosh dang man, boy, Sean really set me up. My producer, he was like, well, because what happened was they hit me with that. Where are they now? And they'd ask before, and I'd like, and I'd tell them, hell no. I go, I'm not doing this. Like, why? Because I don't like where I'm at, man. I don't like where I'm at in life. Hell no, I'm not doing this. And then, but this time around, because like I said, I'm in a better place. Like, you know what? Yeah, shit. I go, yeah, I'll do this. I'll do where are they now? So Sean had it set up. They've known for like a month. My wife found out, I guess, like an hour and a half before. My manager, Brian Butler, knew, and Sean knew, and they've had to keep this from me for 3 weeks. And I make shit hard to keep from me because I'm such an emotional wreck. But so anyway, he's like, all right, well, here's what's going to happen. The sponsors want you, we're going to change your backdrop. So it's got this, you can see there's this UFC logo and stuff behind me. And I'm like, all right, cool. The sponsors want you to change your hat. What? I was wearing my son's big game wrestling team hat. And I was like, nah, they want you to wear a UFC hat. I'm like, all right. So I had to put on his hat. I'm like, and then the sponsors need you to turn off your phone. I'm like, what? They can see you looking at you. They can see you looking down at your phone. And then he made chat really, really small. And I'm like, God dang, these sponsors are pissing me off. But all right, all right. So then he says, all right. So when it goes live, when the pay-per-view starts, we're going to have you go big screen real quick because they just want to see your reaction. And I figured, oh, okay, they're going to do this. They're going to do that. We're going to be talking about where are they now, right? So I mean, literally no idea, no clue. And like you said, 2 hours before that, I was like, nah, I just hadn't done enough, you know? And then all of a sudden I started watching it. And I was like, hold up. I'm looking at it, I go, what the? And they showed Jose Aldo. And then of course, Annex, like, you know, this legend, you know, this pioneer, you know, it has finally gotten his spot in immortality. And that's when I pardoned my language, like, shut the fuck up. And I don't like cussing on my. I was like, shut up. And so my wife had played one more. She had helped with the setup. She had texted me a couple hours before and said, "Hey, your son has to do a project, huh? His teacher wants him to film you at work." And I figured, well, they already had me do an interview a couple weeks before for Carson, so he's sitting right there. He starts filming. So now I've got my son literally sitting right there, and this whole thing hits me. And I just, yeah, they set me up good. I was not ready for this. And so the tears were legit, I promise you.
That's a great story. That's deeper than I even knew, man. Had your wife involved and everything.
They
man.
were all, well, and they finally told her. So Butler, Brian, man, I love Brian Butler. I love that man. He's, he created Sucker Punch ENT. He's a monster manager. And he had told Joy right before, hey, he's like, Jen's is getting inducted. And this is right before she left to work because she works nights at the hospital. And I'm like, and so she's all of a sudden she set it up and, you know, and my son, he didn't know. So they're like, look, I need you to sit down and film your dad. And, you know, and he's going to do this reaction. So it was funny because I was like, hey, just kind of come back here when the pay-per-view starts, sit right there. I go, because I'm supposed to react to some shit. So it all played out perfectly. Cause I'm like, where are they now? You know, and I'm supposed to react to this. So I'm going to sit right here. And I go, so this would be a good time for you to film it. You know what I mean? So it was a beautiful setup, Bob. But Brian, like I said, I love this man. He's been adamant about this. He's like, I'm getting you in this Hall of Fame. You deserve to be in this Hall of Fame. We're going to, you know, and so, like I said, Joy found out probably an hour before she went to work. And then, so they were watching on the phone at work, you know, kind of brought it up to Twitch TV/UFC to see my reaction. Right. And yeah, so it was crazy because one, we're in Australia and then they put me up on the big screens in Australia. So now I'm sitting there crying like a baby. My son's sitting on my lap. They're showing this video of me, and and so like I said, it couldn't have been more perfect. The timing and everything was perfect.
Yeah, you said Sucker Punch. Was that the was that Jason David Frank? Wasn't he part of Sucker Punch?
Yes, 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 he was. Yeah.
Uh, One of the fan question was, why do you think it took so long for them to put you in the Hall of Fame?
See, I don't, the deal is this. I, whatever it was, it doesn't matter because it was perfect. And
Right.
I think that's one of the reasons why the timing was perfect. Where I'm at in my life, it couldn't have been better. The age of my son, you know what I mean? And I think, like I said, one of the reasons why it took the way it did, legitimacy. And I think it was one of those things that, like I said, the timing. I've been out of the game for a long time. I mean, what a better time to get something like this. It couldn't have been more perfect. I don't think there would have been another time. If it was any earlier, I know I wouldn't have appreciated it because number one, I'd have told you again, hell no, I'm not doing this. Where are they now? I don't want it. This is not where I'm at. But because I'm on this UFC Twitch stream, like I said, that stream literally saved my life. It's given me my worth, my value. I feel like I get to be a part of the sport. I get to have opinions. I get to break things down. You know what I mean? And that's the one thing that Sean gave me that gift. And that's why I'm so glad to be on Twitch because, again, I started out, I loved gaming, and it was just something that transitioned from gaming to this. And I think it's the perfect platform. I mean, it's incredible to be able to do it
Yeah.
right here. And it's something we're kind of, once again, pioneering, so to speak, when it comes
Yeah.
to breaking down the fights. It was so I don't look at it as, it's about time. I look like it was the perfect time. They always say, right? God don't give you things until you're ready, and you may not understand it till later. You know what I mean? Some of God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. And that's one of those deals that I it just came at the perfect time.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Some of the greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. Yeah, I can definitely tell you're having a great fun time on that Twitch, man.
I love
I
it.
didn't know you had stuff like that. I just been a YouTube guy. I had no
Yeah,
idea when you were like pausing and doing stuff. That's pretty cool. I watched an hour or two of it the other night, but
appreciate it.
definitely. A couple other questions.
No worries.
What's your situation revolving around your departure from the UFC as a fan question?
It was just like I said, it was just a situation where I just the first time, obviously, it was just a contract dispute,
Okay.
and it was just we just had a dispute. I felt like there was just situations that I was, you know, um, like anybody. I wasn't asking for just a ton of money. I just wanted to be the highest paid lightweight. I wanted to be. I was the guy, and the problem was I was in an old contract with the SEG before. So when they just kind of continued the contract that I was on. And you know what I mean? So when I came back to the new contract, I was just waiting. And it was one of those things where, you know, I always hang my head in that situation. Always hang my head about that is I regretted it. But at the same token, I never wanted to be understood that I wasn't being loyal to the UFC. That's an absolutely no, 100% wasn't it. I was just being loyal to my manager and to the idea that I know I'm the best lightweight on the planet. I'm definitely the best in the UFC. And I felt like, and I said, even by $5, that's what I wanted to be. And like I said, it was a situation where, we just didn't come to terms, and such is life, and like I said, that's just how it works. But the way life works and everything like that, I'm just happy to come back. And again, the second time around when I got in the UFC, that was on me. I'm the one that was losing. They were trying. They let me fight 4 times in a row, and I'm the one that shit the bed. I'm the one that couldn't get the win. I'm the one that couldn't continue to go. So that was me that threw it away the second time. So I'm just like I said, the way the roads have worked around and wind through everything to be here and doing this UFC Twitch stream with everybody and just to be at peace and be happy to be retired, not have regret. Like I said, I'll take it because if any one thing in my life, see, I'll give you this because people always ask this is regret. You know what I mean? And I tell everybody, if you can learn how to be happy where you are right now in life, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're at the very bottom. I don't care if you're at the very top. I don't care if you're in the middle. But if you can just come to terms with where you are, learn how to be your own best friend. And if you can just be happy where you are in life, like this day, I'm going to start doing this, whatever it is, you don't have any regrets. You don't have anything holding you back. You can release yourself from the anchors and you can move forward because if like I said, I love where I'm at right here, right now. And if any one thing in my life would have changed, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be sitting right here talking to you, you know what I mean? And all these things wouldn't have happened. So I don't have any regret. I'm okay with everything. But there for a while, I hung my head in shame. I hung my head. And that's the beautiful thing with this, this is just this means the world to me, and it allows me to close this chapter and I can walk away in peace. But I'd already accepted it, and I've already, like I said, I've already learned how to be my own best friend. I learned how to be good to myself. Therefore, I didn't have any regrets, and that all started from this stream.
What where were you, like you were talking about how you didn't want to film the where are they now stuff, is like what was it that you felt like was so wrong in life then?
I wasn't happy. I didn't have this. I didn't have the worth and the value I was trying to figure out. And a lot of people run into that. A lot of people feel that no matter where you are in life is, what I mean, I told you, you got to find your passion. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was sitting around, I was just kicking myself in the ass. Why did I go on that losing streak? I mean, I got to walk away from the sport. I don't have it fixed. What am I going to do now? And like I said, it was Sean, Sean got me on his path. Like, hey, you should start streaming. You play video games. You love gaming. And
Yeah.
when that happened, I mean, like I said, the barbershop, AKA Fam Time, Rock and Nessa, they hit me with this raid. And I was like, holy shit, what is this? And all these people started coming in the chat and they started talking. And I was like, oh, and I started talking to them. And I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing in the world. And again, I don't think people truly understand how important they are. And I tell everybody how valuable you are. Never let anybody ever make you feel like your time isn't valuable. To me, man, time, money can't buy it. And we always wish we had more. And the fact that people will stand in line just to meet you, it's the greatest gift on the planet. And that was gone. That was one of those things, one of those holes that were inside of me, things that I missed is people giving me their time. Then all of a sudden, here I am on this stream and I'm like, oh my Lord. And people started asking me questions and they were giving me their time. And that's where it's funny, we make fun of me all the time. And it's kind of where gaming had to kind of stop and fighting started taking over because I could pause. I can't pause in the middle of the game. I got my
Right.
partners are telling me they're muting me because I talk too much. And I'm like, man, I can't concentrate on this game. I'm too busy talking to chat. I'm having way too much fun. So that's why, like I said, the fights and everything became perfect because it allows me to pause, talk to chat and answer questions. And I hopefully, like I said, I started getting into the thousands. We're gonna have a problem because I stop and answer everybody's questions. So I
Right.
sit there and do a rap, you know what I mean? But that's why I'm saying I was made to do this. I was made to do this live. And then with the UFC, when it came around, all of a sudden now I'm watching fights again. And it started filling gaps in these holes in my life and in my body, just in my spirit. And they started filling up and filling these voids, all because I just started doing this Twitch stream and all because my friend Sean said, hey man, you got to try this. And the path that it's taken us on now, we still kind of laugh, but it just made me feel whole. It fixed everything about me. People giving me their time. And I always tell them, dude, y'all saved my life. You just don't understand how valuable your time is. And I pray everywhere in life, I hope everybody, please, man, I hope they understand literally your time is so valuable because people like me, that's gold. What you're doing for me is gold. And I hope there are people in your life never make you feel like you're worthless, never make you feel like you're not of value because you're saving me. And like I said, I can't thank y'all enough. Thus, why I became the Pause King. And I'll make sure to stop and chat with everybody.
So but it's refreshing because you really you like the fights. You enjoy watching them. I can't say how many guys I've interviewed that don't even watch they're fighters, but they don't actually enjoy the sport.
I mean, I get that, but see, well, now that's another thing. When I had to retire in the beginning, I was pissing and moaning, pissing and moaning, pissing and moaning. You know what I mean? About because I didn't want to be done. And then you see this, you start seeing these older fighters, I'm coming back, I'm doing this, I'm coming back, and then they go past it, and it's like you see people that retire 6 times, or they retire 3 times, or they retire, and it's like, I know I had said it like, dude, I'm done, but officially I retired once and I needed to walk away. So what I did, I got big, I got bulbous, I just walked away from the sport, and I didn't want anything to do with it. You know what I mean? And like I said, but once I came back to this stream, I've lost 55 pounds. I'm down, you know what I mean? I feel incredible. I know I'm no longer a fighter, but what I am, and everybody goes, you need to start coaching. I'm like, I do. Every day I turn on this stream, I coach. I
Right.
coach all of you. You come in and give me your time. And so now I love watching fights. I love breaking them down. I love having an opinion. I love commentating. And I think that's a lot of people, they just got to find, again, if you can start filling those voids. A lot of people have anger or animosity maybe inside their head about fighting and stuff, and they don't want anything to do with it because maybe they're missing it, maybe they're hating it, maybe they haven't good. But if you can fill those voids, you know what I mean, then I get back to it. I love it. I mean, I'm not shitting you. We're gonna go on vacation here in a couple of days, and I'm like, I don't want to leave my stream because it's literally, how people always say it's not work if it's something that you love. This isn't
Yeah.
work. This is
Right.
this is therapy to me. Every day I do what I love, and I just can't wait. You know what I mean, for 6 p.m. Eastern, so I could jump in and do it again. But like I said, now I love the fights. I love everything about it. So those that don't want to do it, if you were part of it, like I said, find your worth, find your value, and whatever is meant to be will happen, and you'll get back to it if it's supposed to.
We talked about coaching. What about your experience as a coach on The Ultimate Fighter versus BJ Penn? You talk about that a little bit.
Oh, it was maddening. It was tough when we went back, even just now going back and watching it. Cause like I said, Tuesdays, we do tough Tuesdays, and we did season 5, and I had fun watching. I was laughing and enjoying it. But then there were moments, I had bitter moments. I was like, man, at the time that's what it's set up to do. I mean, it's set up to make you fight and argue and go against each other. It is a team competition. And even we couldn't even play ping pong. It was a lot of troubles, because like I said, how I beat him the first time, and he just couldn't wait to get back at me. You know what I mean? And then I lost to Joe Lazone, and he's on the show. So it just made for a really good time. It's probably one of the best seasons on the planet. Plus the two coaches were fighting each other, and on the finale, and it was insanity, and it toyed with my emotions. It definitely, yeah, it was no bullshit. That's for sure. It wasn't made up and it wasn't scripted. I love him to death now. Me and BJ we're good now after all these years. But back then, all the shit was going. It was driving me nuts. It was driving me crazy. The whole show, from picking the teams to, I mean,
Oh yeah,
from the very beginning. Picking those teams, it just went to shit right then.
it's like put your hand up if you don't want anything
Oh
to do.
my God. And I figured everybody was going to raise their hand and call it a day. And like I said, Nate and Manny, like they raised their hand, like, if you want to be on my team, like, well, hell yeah. Of course I want to be on your team. Like I would raise of course I'd be on your team. That's kind of what we're doing. But then he says, and have nothing to do with James Pulver. And they're like, okay, whoa, wait, I can't be in the middle of this shit. I don't know what, but then some kept it up. And like I said, Corey Hill, may rest in peace. He's the one who saved me. And that's why I picked him first, because he was looking right at me going, you and me. I was going to leave. I unzipped my zipper and said, man, I was going to yank, I got something y'all could just kiss. And I got caught on TV saying it. I was so pissed. I was going to pack my shit up and leave. But Corey's looking at me going, you and me, man, you and me, we'll do this. And I was like, I'm just looking at him going, all right, all right, all right. Yeah, man, let's do it. And so he kept me there in that spot. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when we just started picking everybody who had their hand down, and off we went.
So you and Corey were having exchanges.
Oh,
I
he's
don't know.
looking right at me. He's looking right at me going, I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you, baby. And he's just like, let's do this. And he's got that fiery look, that the way that this is my zone, later on, just the way that he's always talking to himself, Buddy Rowe and everything like that. And that's why, that's how he and I bonded right there on the spot, because at that moment, that's when I was like, you know, it's like you have that dream. It's like I just stood there. I was the kid who had the invisible clothes on. I thought I was wearing this gangster suit and I'm invisible and everybody's laughing at me. And that's how I felt get on it because I had such, like I said, man, I was my own worst enemy. I said a lot. I used to say so much mean shit to myself that all it takes is one person to kind of solidify that. And just like, and that's why people always make fun of me about being the anxiety ridden, you know. So this show really made me face a lot of that bullshit. And with BJ, he was just quarterbacking it. That boy was just quarterbacking anxiety and depression, just firing it, you know. And so having all that, but it was Corey looking me dead in the face, man, and going, I'm with you. I mean, I'm just kind of looking at him going, all right, if you're dumb enough to do this, I'm dumb enough to stay here. Let's do it. I was like, it might just be you and me. We'll take on the entire team. F it. I don't care. Let's
That was
go.
your first pick, right?
Hell yeah, because of that. You know what I mean? Because he saved me. I mean, Nate and Manny, like I said, they'd put their hands out because they weren't trying to be in the middle of all that. They were like, of course I want to be on your team. Yeah, man, it's BJ Penn. And they're like, well, what if you want to be on Jens' team, raise, you know, kind of thing. But when push came to shove, like, oh, I'm not getting in this. And I'm like, all right, well, the 8 of you that want to be there, man, keep your hands up and don't drop them. So it was, but Corey is the one because I'm not shitting you, man. I was leaving. I zipper pulled, like, I got what y'all can kiss, you know what I mean, and this and that, and I was like, I'm out, I'm leaving, I'm not this. I was going home. I shit you not. But Corey Hill, I don't know why I looked at him, but I looked right at him. He's looking at me. It's just that intense, and I was like, all right, man, if you want to fight. If you want to do this, I go, you know what? I'm gonna do this. We're gonna fight, man. Let's do this. Let's piss in somebody's Cheerios. And you know, so there we went.
I know even Dana White was getting real annoyed there.
Yeah, it was.
They kept trying to change it. He's like, just pick.
We were bat shitting it, man. It was bad. Just pick one. Nah, I'm like, hell no, I'm not. No, you keep your hands up. Don't you drop them. So yeah, it was the way that we finally worked through it is they just had to sit there with their hands up and wait until their turn. But I'm like, don't you dare drop those hands. You know what I mean?
What was the scouting report on Corey Hill? Because was that like really like his first fight?
Yeah, that was his first fight. I think he was like at 4-0 is what they said. It was 4 wins or something like that. Or he had 4 pro fights or something like that is what it was. And yeah, I'm like, good Lord, look at the size of him. But then when we were taking that walk, it's like, no, I've never. I'm like, really?
He told you that during the walk.
Yeah, we were walking around. We were walking one day, and so what happened was one of the things that like it didn't show it, but I sat everybody down and said, "Look, all right, team, we're doing this together." From the word go, I'm like, "This is us. I'm not your coaches. You all have your coaches back home, but right now we're doing this show and we're all together." I go, "Hell, I even got knocked out by somebody on the other team, but do I know what it takes to be a world champion? Yes. Did I become a world champion? Yes." I go, "So if you stick with me, we'll get through this together." Am I the best fighter on the planet? Nope. Was I for a moment? Yep. And that's all that it takes. I know what it takes to get there. I go, "So let's stick together and let's figure this out." And so we all got together and we all started deciding what we were going to do. And we found out Corey didn't have that many fights. That was one of the reasons why we had to keep the quote unquote, the hammer, because we knew that we needed to give Corey at least 2 good weeks of training before, you know what I mean? And we didn't want him going after like Weems and stuff like that. We wanted to dictate who was fighting who. And I'm like, all right, well, as long as we go out there and we win, you know what I'm saying? Then we keep the hammer. So let's do it. And we did, man. We played the game. Everybody raised their hand on how they wanted to do it, who was going to fight who. And I was like, all right, I like it. Let's go. And we all went together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That season probably had the most talent of any season. You know, like Nate Diaz. I mean, there was just
Maynard and Wyman, Lazon. I mean, you just keep throwing them out there. Cole Miller. See, I don't like saying this, so I'm going to forget about 6 of them, but all the way down to Melendez. I mean, all of them. Everybody had, you know what I mean? Everybody had both teams. There was a lot of great fights and fighters in there. So it was a blast. And a lot of them ended up having great careers. So it was really cool to see and kind of be a part of them. Happy for all of them. And like I said, man, 155-pound, best year, best season so far. And we're kind of proving it so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you stay in contact with Corey Hill? I know he passed away.
Always. Yeah.
The little scuffle between Nate and
Carl Parisian.
Yes. Can you
Awkward.
talk about that a little bit?
It was well, I didn't even know what was happening. Like I said, I thought they were conning around for a while, and then
Right.
something happened and shit got real. And then of course, like I said, man, these are my students, so to speak, right? I'm the coach. So that's why I had to step in between, like, nah, man, we're good. You can't, not today, not today. I'm their coach. So
Yeah.
you have to go through me, man. These are my fighters, and I'm not gonna let anything happen to any one of them, period. You know what I mean? They're my family. And until we part ways, they're forever my family now, you know. And so that's why I was like, whoa, stop. What are you doing, man? This is their show, you know. And that's kind of one of the things that was irritating back then was don't no matter who you are, even with BJ and with his coaching and stuff, like it's all about these guys, man. This is for them. That's why I had to try to anything personal and all that, man. I'm keeping my that off to the side. This is about these guys getting the best opportunity to go out there, showcase their skills, you know what I mean, and do right by themselves. And so it was, yeah, it was weird though, because I'm like, whoa, shit, this is real. All right,
Right.
stop.
Hey, you and BJ had talked about training together. Did that ever happen? You
No,
guys ever
I
train?
wish it did. I mean, I've been around, you know, but we never got to train together. No, I think, like I said, I was going down the downhill path of, I was, I wasn't training that hard. I was just going through the motions, taking the fights, you know, afterwards. Like I said, when I went on a losing streak side of things, I just, I wish I would have. I probably should have, but they're just, like I said, woulda, shouldas, and the couldas in
Yeah.
life. But I always wished I would. I always wished, you know. But yeah. Here's the problem with me, and it's not because I think I'm cool or anything like that. I'm afraid to reach out to people. I'm like, man, I just don't want to bug them.
Right.
Man,
I know.
I'm not going to call
I
them. I don't
feel
want to
that.
bother them. Like, hopefully they get a hold of me. Then I'm like, yo, what's up? And I'll talk your ear off. But I don't like to reach out to
Yeah.
people because I'm like, dude, I'm just going to bug them anyways. I'm like, shit on that, you know?
Yeah, I can relate to that for sure. Hey, any thoughts about your pride run?
It was fun. It was fun. And fighting at 165 pounds, you know? But yeah, no, I had fun. It was a lot of fun.
What did you think about when they stopped the lightweight division there for that little bit?
I, at the time, you know, it was, I don't know. I mean, again, everything was being pioneered. Everything was so new. Things were coming and going. I'm just happy the sport was still alive. There was a time when the UFC was, I mean, again, they sold, you know, in the beginning. And what Dana White and the Fertitas, what they did for this UFC is just mind blowing. You know, I mean, to take something like this that was live on the internet, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, banned all but in 3 states. And they took this thing and they built it into what is obviously the greatest, you know, combat sports, one of the best ever, period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And but at the time, you only get to fight once a year, basically. You know, like they were only doing 6 shows a year, and they were trying to keep this 155 pounds with it, just adding in more shows. I figured, you know, it was one thing they were trying to do when I started. Like I said, I'm not lying to you. I literally started this 155-pound division, and I figured, you know, when it kind of went to shit, they're like, well, you know what? We don't have time for this anyways. We got to get all our 170 pounders and so on. We've got all these fighters on contract and they need to fight anyways. And so it just kind of seemed like, well, let's just dump it because we're not big enough anyway. You know what I mean? So kind of, there was a lot going on in the aspect, and I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen with the UFC. I didn't know what was going to happen just in general with MMA. I mean, who knows? It was still that new, and it was still that the wild, wild west in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Anything could have closed. You've seen shows left and right that came in, spent a lot of money, and boom, they were 2 shows down and they're gone. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot of organizations. So what the UFC had to do and what they did do, again, my hat's off to them because it was second. It was nothing short of incredible to
Yeah.
keep that thing alive. And I knew it. You know what I mean? I knew what they went through, and I know what they were going through. And like I said, my love for Dana and the Fertitas, you know, I tell people all the time, you just don't know what they were giving up and risking when they were doing this show. And it's funny because it's making all this money, quote unquote, money now, but it's like in anything where you could be like, and they don't ever do it. Where were you when we were losing this much
Yeah.
money every show, but we believed in an idea? And that's why I always tell people, I don't ever get mad at the UFC. Oh, well, they should be doing this or they should be doing that. BS, man. Because where was everybody when they were losing this much money on a show, this much, and trying to keep everybody try to keep this name alive, you know? So to me when you lost the weight class, I'm like, shit, man, is the sport going to bounce around? Is there any place for us? There wasn't any place for us before. And are we back to that now? I don't know. You know what I mean? So it was, yeah, you never know.
You talked about it a couple of times about the gaps in between cards. How different would your career have been if they were doing cards every week like they are
Oh
right
my
now?
Lord. I listen to people now. And like I said, I think about Jeremy Horn. Jeremy Horn would go fight in small shows anywhere in between UFC fights. He fought like every weekend. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, this is my job. I'll go make this much in this fight. But if I fight every weekend, that's getting paid this much. That's a good job. And that's why he has 200 and some plus fights, you know what I mean? And stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's how I started trying to fight in other organizations in between UFC fights and stuff. And I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, well, and you know, we get this all the time. Oh, today's fighters are so much better than the past fighters. They could never touch. And I'm like, wait a second. Number one, you got to think about a world champion mentality is a world champion mentality. I don't care what era you come from. The willingness to sacrifice and train your ass off and do everything under the sun to get better. That's timeless. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what era they're in. So don't give me that, oh, they would lose to this guy. No, man, they would do what it takes. They would sacrifice the world. They would get on a train for 2.5 days, give up everything they own to go out to Iowa just to start training so they can become a world champion. But could you imagine if you're healthy and you could pull a Hamza out, like, dude, I'm good to go next weekend. Let's go. They would have a problem. They would have to shut me up. That's the one thing I'd be like, oh my Lord, if I could somehow go into a 25-year-old body right now, I promise you would see me fight every month. Even if I had just a couple of bumps and bruises, if I was medically cleared, I'd be fighting and they would be getting pissed off at me. I would literally be the kid that sat there like I used to back in my wrestling, back in the kids' days. I would have my singlet in a backpack just in case. I'd have my fight gear sitting there with me just in case. Oh, yeah, I'm fighting. I'd have my physicals chopped up and ready to go so I could hand them a note. Yep, I'm ready right now. I mean, it would be incredible to see that, you know what I'm saying? And it's not, then I'm not even talking about the fact that money and purses are different. I'm talking about the availability would be absolutely mind blowing. And that's again, what I love about the UFC is it's every weekend and I get to sit here and commentate and do my Twitch stream. And yeah, but if I could, that'd be the one thing, if I could fight now that you somehow we can take this memory and put it into a, you know what I mean? Take my hard drive and stick it into a 25-year-old body. Yeah. I'd fight every weekend if I could.
How are you doing physically? I'd seen you mention
beautiful
that maybe you'd maybe be up for like a fun boxing match or something.
100%. I've never felt this good. I don't know what to tell people. I don't, and I'm not I'm not some old dude trying to figure out. Like I said, I'm not. You know, number one thing, I'm not sitting there going, oh, you know what? I'm going to compete again. So now I'm going to lose 100 pounds and try to get back in shape. It's like, see, there you go. That was the problem with most people. That was the problem with my career back in towards the end was I was just training. I spent my training camps just trying to get in shape, just trying to get it fight ready. You know what I mean? That's not a camp. Back in the day, I was always fight ready. I was just sharpening the blade. And so that was the number one thing I worked on with my mentality. Now I'm like, boom, 170 pounds. I'm ripped. I wouldn't have to cut anything. I could just literally be sitting there sharpening the blade. So when I tell people I feel incredible, I've never felt so good physically. I feel like I'm 35 years old. I have not felt this good. You know what I mean? The intermittent fasting, my lifestyle, what I've done, and I've done all that for no other reason than because my mind is at peace and I just want to be healthy. But I used that and I got nice and big and bulbous in the beginning. So that way I couldn't jump back in the cage. But now the way I move around, lifting weights every day, slipping, sliding, throwing, hitting the bag, it's like, man, this is too much fun. There's got to be something. You know, I mean, there's got to be something to do at this age. And, you know, and I'm not the only one. And if you can pass the physicals, then what's up? Of course, I want to dive back in. Whoever told me that 40 was the death sentence, I believed it growing up. And that was my number one mistake, believing that 40 was some kind of a death sentence. That's bullshit.
They really say half of feeling good is looking good, half of looking good is feeling good. So when, you know, you're feeling good. Hey, what are your thoughts on John Jones fighting?
Love him. Sick. I can't wait.
His heavyweight debut coming up tomorrow. What are your thoughts?
He's gonna run over him. I think he runs over him. Just the way he breaks the fights down. I don't care what anybody's got to say about Bones Jones. He hands down is one of the best fighters. I mean, he is he's the shit. But then
Yeah.
look at the way he approaches things, and he already notices. Look at the way that Serial got. I always roll the R's, but Serial got out wrestled, out grappled. People forget, man. They forget how good this dude is. How very, very, very good Bones Jones is, and that's with just wrestling. So this is going to be one of the funnest games. But like I said, today we'll be live 6 p.m. Eastern. I can't wait to watch 2 Serial fights, 2 Bones fights, and break it down and have everybody. We're all going to sit and kind of chat about it. But that's the one thing is people need to realize and recognize really fast. He's not just going to stand out there and play a range game. Bones is an athlete. And above that, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's an incredible fighter, but his wrestling, second to none.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy's had like 15 title fights or something like that.
It's not even, it's unprecedented what he's done as a fighter just in general. So it's going to be, but the way he approaches it, the way he attacks it, you could hear him, the way he was just breaking it down at the press conference, listening to him. He talked about every hole. And see, the thing is like what a lot of people need to look at is there are certain things that fighters need to watch or coaches need to watch, and some do and some don't. There are tendencies that can't be fixed. They can't be fixed no matter how much you drill it unless it's repetition, that autopilot. There are certain things that'll happen that your autopilot, I don't care what anybody says, there are certain things you look for that just doesn't go away unless you find it. And again, like anything, 21 days to create a habit, repetition. Did Serial do those things? Probably not, because he's too busy training and dieting and doing what works and what his positives were and stuff like that. So those little tendencies are still going to be in there, especially how you react to a running double, how you react when you hit the floor, how you react when someone's got the head, or how you react when, and even I fell victim to an armbar, you react wrong. But when you find people that are very good up here and they start calculating it, those again, world champion mentalities. They break down the little things and they realize there are certain things that people just, those autopilots that are ingrained in here, did they take the time to fix those? And a lot of people, no, they didn't.
What do you think about ring rust? It's been over 3 years. Is ring rust real?
I don't know if it's ring rust that's real. I think it just depends how your training camp was and how you are and what do you feel and how you believe. Some people, like, you think about it, man, you think about the first time I go diving into Call of Duty, man, I can smash it the first couple of times I'm playing because I haven't played all day, and I get in there and I'm all fired up and everything's on the thing, and I'm ripping through I'm ripping through and just laying everything down. I can see everything. And then you kind of as you get into it, then you kind of get back into your lull and you kind of sit back and then everything just kind of gets dulled and you start just becoming part of the game and you're either good at it or bad at it. So it just kind of depends, because then there's other people when they first get in there, they're lost and they're like, man, I don't remember this. Everything's moving so fast and I don't know how to slow it down. And so it kind of just depends how you look at it. You know what I mean? But I just can't see, again, the way that you hear him talk and the way he breaks things down, I don't think ring rust will be an issue. In fact, I think what'll happen is he won't hesitate. You know, when you're a youngster and you get out there and you start firing off instantly without hesitation, because remember, but the more times, they always say this about the older fighter, and this will be the one thing, is the older fighter is they don't pull the trigger because they remember what that perfect punch looks like. They know what the opening looks like. They see what it should be. You know what I'm saying? So they don't throw, because they kind of just watch things happen. Now that at the age of 35, I would almost say that might be it. But because he's taking this time off, I think he's going to go back to that youngster status where he sees it, bam, and he just blasts it. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be fun to watch, because Serial, like I said, he can move, he can bounce, he can strike. He's good, real good. So it's going to be a fun fight.
Definitely. All right, Jens, I've taken up more of your time than I
No worries. I talk a lot.
I really appreciate you giving me this interview, man.
Of course.
Is there anything you want to say before we end? Anything?
No, like I said, the biggest thing is, I appreciate it. It was just one of those things. It was a platform I haven't really messed with. And, I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me do this. And I think the biggest thing is anybody and everybody, you ever want to check it out, Twitch TV/UFC, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Wednesday, always at 6 p.m. Eastern. Drop in, hang out. I'll be live here in a couple hours. Again, we're watching Fights of Fighters Fighting in Saturday's pay-per-view fights, and that's what I'll be doing. So as always, man, or you can just hit me at Jens Pulver on Instagram. That's my favorite place to be besides Twitch. So I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Jens. Appreciate it. I'm really I'm happy to see that you're happy, man, and how that you're enjoying life. It's good to see, buddy.
Means a lot, bro. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, bud.
Thank you.